My name is Adrian Furnham. I'm a chartered health psychologist. I'm also a chartered organizational psychologist. I'm a professor at a number of universities and also act as a consultant. Leadership is a team sport, and Bob Hogan's definition is one I've always liked. He said leadership is the ability to form and maintain a team more successful than your competitors. So the ability to get on with people and motivate them and engage them is fundamentally important to leadership. I think we as psychologists often are rightly accused of attribution bias, in the sense that we focus very much on the individual alone, not taking into consideration the people around him or her and indeed the social context. And therefore it's all about the traits of leaders. Whereas I think that is important, but we have to understand how the traits spell out to their social behaviour, particularly with the board and those individuals who are important to them. At the conference I'm going to talk about why leaders fail and derail. There are, in the English language, over 70,000 books with the word leadership in the title, and 99.9% of those is how easy it is to be a leader, what you just have to do. Well, we know that's not the case, and for the last 20 years or so, a number of people have been investigating leadership failure and derailment. There are 40 American CEOs in prison at the moment. Why are they in prison? They're in prison because they did bad things. There's lots of data on as soon as somebody goes to an organization, the share price goes down or people leave. In other words, there are a lot of bad leaders. And the question is why? And I'm going to make a distinction between incompetence, which is where you don't have enough of some quality and therefore fail, as opposed to derailment, where you have too much of some quality which leads you to failment. I'm going to look at the subclinical personality disorders as the clue to why this occurs. I think we've all worked with somebody with dark side tendencies. In fact, the paradox is, and I'm going to talk about this, that many of these dark side tendencies help you up the greasy pole. You know, a touch of the callousness and the coldness and the manipulativeness of the psychopath and the self-confidence of the narcissist actually does help you climb up that greasy pole. However, fortunately, there is a God, and most of the time you slip down the greasy pole as a function of your dark side. I think everybody has worked with a dark side person. But more than that, I think the reason is that we all have dark sides. I think if you give anyone a test looking at their dark side personality, it's almost impossible not to have elements of darkness. I have them. I know about my elements of darkness. One of the advantages of getting test results is that hopefully it increases self-awareness and you can therefore do something about it. I think when people hear the dark side talk that I've done, I was in St. Petersburg last week giving the talk. One of the things that interests them are two factors I always bring up. First is the importance of selecting out rather than selecting in. I think what most people do is they look for characteristics they want and look for them, and they never look at the characteristics they don't want and select out. And so this, I think it alerts them to, oh my goodness, I need to look for evidence of this because this is a characteristic I don't want in an individual. Now in serious jobs, I was talking to a nuclear submarine captain the other day. That's a serious job, and they select out there. So that's one factor I think people will take away from my previous experience. And the second one is the assumption that when you're looking for some characteristic, that more is better, that it's linear, that if you are, if you're very, very good with people, if you have very, very high EQ, for instance, that this is very good. What the data show, rather, it's curvy linear, that you need enough of these characteristics, and that too much of anything, too much of any good characteristic, good with people, able to deliver a good salesperson, works well in a team, could be an indication of a weakness. So it's the idea of linearity not being right, i.e. look for enough of the quality, and secondly, look for things you don't want just as much as things you do want.